I am Greer Anderson. I am 56 and I live in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. On August 18th of 2020, it was about midnight. I was trying to go to sleep and all of a sudden I had this severe pain in my chest. It was like a throbbing, and I thought initially that it was indigestion. And I'd spent probably the next 10 or 15 minutes convincing myself that it wasn't a heart attack. The pain was in the middle of my chest. I thought, my heart's on the left. It wasn't there, so it couldn't be that. Both arms were numb, so it couldn't be a heart attack because only one arm goes numb, which is ridiculous. But, at the time, I was really trying to convince myself that that wasn't happening. I ended up calling 911. That's when it all just kind of went crazy. Laying in the ambulance, looking up and thinking is this it? Because I'm sure at some point we all think about, how are you going to go? What's going to happen? And that wasn't the scenario that I thought was going to be my time. They took me in, I got one stent in, and as soon as they put it in, I could tell there was immediate difference and I felt fine. The next day, they did 3 more stents. I had 2 arteries that were blocked 80%. The one had 80, 40, and 60, so they put 3 stents in that one. The irony of the heart attack is that physical pain is over as soon as they do that. I felt fine. It's I think the psychological effect that really is the most profound, the thought that you're now a heart attack victim, you're somebody that has to be careful about that for the rest of your life. And what does that even mean? Because, I had no idea what that meant. I'm an attorney. I like to consider myself educated. I stay up on the news. I go to my doctor. I ask questions. And I don't think I ever once got any literature or information about heart disease. And, I go through this process and I wonder, why isn't that the case? Everybody has a colonoscopy at age 50. Yet heart disease, what is it? This is the #1 killer of adults in America. And we don't do any diagnostic testing. There's, when you turn 40, they don't tell you, hey, we need to talk about heart disease. Here's some things you need to understand. You kind of get that veiled idea because everybody always tells you to watch your cholesterol and your blood pressure, but they don't really go into depth about it. And they certainly don't tell you, here are the signs, pay attention to this. 3 months after the heart attack, my ejection fraction was up to 55%, which meant that I had pretty much fully recovered. I don't really have any permanent damage to my heart. To me, the biggest thing was that the heart attack was a reckoning. It was one of those events in your life where you have to account for things. We have those reckonings every day. You're faced with the consequences of your past behavior, the fact that there are things in life that maybe I wanted to do that I hadn't done, and I had been putting things off, thinking that I had a lot of time. And maybe I do, but the one thing we know about life is that, it's going to end, but we never know when it's going to end. So I guess the key is, in part, knowing what to look for, because it could happen to any of us. The heart attack by most people's standards would be a bad thing to happen, right? But I survived and it wasn't necessarily bad. It gave me a lot. My philosophy has always been that life happens for you, it doesn't happen to you. And because of that, if you adopt that attitude, then the things that happen to you aren't good or bad, they're just things that happen, and what you do with them is really the point. And if life happens for you, then you realize that these things that happen to you are put in place to give you something, to teach you something, to help you realize what you need to be doing or should be doing, or could be doing, and to make those changes. And hopefully you don't have to go through a life-threatening event to get that message, to know that that's a reality, that whatever happens to you doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be if you want to believe that, but it doesn't have to be.